Welcome to Newsdesk. Remains of 27 soldiers who died in the attack by Al-Shabaab militants on the Kenya Defence Forces camp in Somalia were brought back home last night. The bodies of the 27 were airlifted to the Moi Air Base in Eastleigh. This brings the number of the fallen soldiers whose remains have been brought back to 31 after 4 bodies were brought home on Monday night. Remains of 28 soldiers which are currently in Wajir are expected to be brought to Nairobi later today. The government has been tight-lipped on the number of casualties from the Friday dawn attack. The attack affected a company-sized force which is made up of between 80 and 250 soldiers. 4 injured soldiers were airlifted to Nairobi on Sunday, while 15 soldiers who survived the attack without injuries arrived at midday on Monday. Search, rescue and recovery efforts are still going on in Somalia. President Uhuru Kenyatta, in an address to the nation from Mombasa yesterday, said Kenya remains unbowed by the Al-Shabaab attack. We move to Kakamega, where the family of Stephen Mwenesi is devastated. His father, Ephraim Anjeri, is however convinced that Stephen is still alive. Let's join Dorcas Wangira for more on that story.
Ninja najua pengine hawezi ningeenda huko mimi mwenyewe ningeenda na nimjue. Tumevumilia siku 4. Tumevumilia sana.
Grace Mwenesi believes that her son, 29-year-old Stephen Ngota Anjera, is still alive. She hasn't been at peace since she received the news of the Al-Shabaab attack. She's always watching the news.
Kwa ndege nikaona tunaona Stephen pengine atashuka hako, nikaona hashuki. Stephen siaoneko, sianihurumieko tu mimi.
His father, Ephraim Anjeri, tells us that Ngota had always looked forward to joining the Kenyan army, and when he made the cut in 2010, he was overjoyed. He first went to Somalia in 2012, the same year KDF captured Kismayo, and by their account, he was deployed to Mandera afterward. His fiancée, Gloria Cheprotich, was the one who last communicated with him. This was online via WhatsApp last Thursday. She says that he had confided in her that he preferred to be in Somalia to Mandera. He went late last year, and after the attack, they haven't heard from him.
Akaniambia, it's better twende Somali than kukaa in border. It is very risky. So akaniambia, but tunajikaza tu. Then sikujua ataenda because he was to come home for leave on December. But baadaye akaniambia siwezi kuja, tumambiwa twende kazi. Then I told him ni sawa tu, haina shida. Akaniambia will be coming on July this year.
His father and his brother say they have been calling the given helplines and even gone to the army barracks in Eldoret. They still have no information about his fate.
Undergoing a lot of agony and a lot of problems and a lot of trouble. My plea to the government is to give us the information where our sons are. We have tried all avenues to reach him, but we have not been successful. Up to yesterday, I went to Moi Barracks in Eldoret. There was no any information.
Tunaomba serikali ituambie penye wako. Tujue penye wako. Naomba Mungu ako hai. Naomba serikali tafadhali. Ndugu yangu anatupenda.
He had plans of proposing officially and taking dowry to his fiancee's parents. They had been making plans since 2014, but his deployment always came between them.
Sababu tunaamini we have so many wenye wamepotelea msituni. Wamepotelea msituni na sijui kama wanasaidiwa. But I know he's there. Sidhani kama amekufa.
For many families, it's the agony of not knowing what has happened to their sons that pains the most, the silent frustration in not getting answers from the government or army officials. This family is hopeful that their son will come back. Dorcas Wangira, KTN News, Kakamega.
Indeed, it is a trying time for the families and Kenyans at large. Now, Migori OCPD Moses Chepyegon collapsed and died this morning. He fainted in his office and was rushed to Migori Level 4 Hospital, where he passed on as doctors tried to resuscitate him. People gathered at the hospital to view the body. Migori Governor Okoth Obado also visited the hospital with Migori County Police Commander David Kirui. Kirui reported that he had supper Tuesday night in the company of the deceased and he was in a jovial mood. The county police boss said he received a call this morning that the OCPD was seriously ill and rushed him to hospital where he was pronounced dead.
Very, very sad lot. It is indeed a very sad day for us as the people of Migori, because we have lost one of our very, very hardworking officers. We have lost the OCPD of Migori, Mr. Chepyegon, due to a massive heart attack. It is indeed very, very unfortunate. When he was brought in here, I think the condition had really worsened. The doctors here tried, but they couldn't do much.
We have lost our own. Otherwise, it is because of God that brings and also takes. So it is his time that he has gone. Let us forge ahead.
Two suspected robbers were this morning gunned down by police along Nairobi's Ronald Ngala Street. Police say that the two were part of a gang planning a series of robberies and who have been terrorizing business people in the city streets, especially River Road and Kirinyaga Road. Lofty Matambo with the details.
The two suspects gunned down are said to have been plotting a robbery on some shops and banks within the city center before they were ambushed by police, according to the Central Area OCPD Paul Wanjala.
Fatal danger too, and recover a Beretta pistol with 13 rounds of ammunition. This four-man gang, although we managed to get two, has been terrorizing us within Ronald Ngara, River Road, Kirinyaga Road, Racecourse. We have received several reports and they have really fitted the description of the four people.
Two mobile phones were also recovered after the shootout that lasted for about an hour this morning.
We have managed at least to gun down two. We are on track to make sure that we shall get the remaining two, because we have a very good informer who is guiding us.
The public has been urged to share any information with the police that could lead to the flashing out of all gangs within Nairobi city in order to bring peace, security and sanity at a time when the city is almost going 24-hour economy system. Lofty Matambo, KTN News, Nairobi.
The National Police Commission has released the results of vetted senior officers whose results were withheld pending investigations. Let us now cross over to our reporter Timothy Atieno for more details. Timothy, can you hear me?
Process that took place last year. Remember, it had taken place across, involving 1,364 officers in a vetting process that commenced at the beginning of last year. But in late October 2015, the Commission did release some of the results of about 1,270 officers who had been cleared. But out of that group, 63 of them at the time were sent home. Among them was, of course, the Administration Police spokesperson Masood Mwinyi, who was sent packing alongside 28 senior superintendents of police, as well as 32 superintendents of police and 3 assistant superintendents of police. But against that backlog, there were 31 officers whose results were yet to be released because the investigations were still ongoing, and those are the results that have been released today. So out of the 31 officers who were vetted and whose results were pending, 24 have been given the green light by the Commission to continue serving. Unfortunately, 7 of them have been sent home. Now, if I could just take you through the names of the 7 officers whose results have revealed that they could no longer be serving as officers of the Republic of Kenya. Of course, one of them is Lawrence Martin Kariuki, who is a senior superintendent of police, as well as William Meto Kiprotich, who is also a senior superintendent of police. And of course, Peter Kemboi Chemos is the third person who was found unsuitable to serve. He is an assistant superintendent of police. Joseph Kipkemoi Kemeli, another senior superintendent of police, has been found not suitable to serve. Jackson Mwiruri Magambo is a superintendent of police. Samuel Olentutu Olenkiti as well as Samuel Bore Kipwese, who are both superintendents of police who have been found unsuitable to continue serving as officers of the Republic of Kenya. But interesting to note, Najma, is that the Commission did highlight a particular case that raised a lot of eyebrows of one officer by the name Nelson Omwega Nyakundi, who had initially passed the police vetting process, but later on information that the Commission was not privy to was brought forward, and it was discovered that this Nelson Nyakundi had indeed been serving with false documents, meaning during the recruitment exercise he presented documents that were actually not his and pretended that they were, and indeed he had been recruited. And get this, he had been serving as a police officer for 22 years, having been recruited using falsified documents. Now, the Commission, of course, highlighted this, and they had to review his vetting. And the chairman of the Commission, Mr. Johnson Kavuludi, had the following remarks to say about this particular Nelson Nyakundi. Have a look.
The media also highlighted the case of Mr. Nelson Omwenga Nyakundi, and they indicated that they had information to the effect that Mr. Nyakundi had used a certificate that did not belong to him. It was genuine, but it was not his certificate, to facilitate his recruitment into the police service. The Commission did not take this matter lightly. Much as we saw him as having passed, but we went back and began to investigate to determine the veracity of that information. And our investigators were on a trail to establish who Mr. Nelson Omwenga Nyakundi is. And they went all the way to his family and to his village. Members of the family were not aware that he is called Nelson Omwenga Nyakundi. They knew him by a different name. His chief was surprised that that is his name. Other people who know him could not have believed that he is the one, because the Nelson Omwenga Nyakundi is alive and is doing something else elsewhere. I don't want to mention where. And he too was also surprised that there is another Nelson Omwenga Nyakundi that is using certificates that resemble those that he has.
Yes, Timothy, just before I let you go, if you could tell us that those suspended, can they appeal?
Yes, indeed, Najma. Those who have been found unsuitable can indeed appeal. There are provisions for that. But the Commission has, however, highlighted that those who are going to be appealing should be appealing based on the fact that they have new evidence that the Commission was not privy to during the vetting. And therefore, those are the only ones who will be qualified to appeal this vetting, the results of this vetting process. Only those who have new information that was not there before will be allowed to appeal. But of course, the appeal bit of this is valid for all those, the 7 as well as the previous ones who had been declared unfit.